The air shimmered with golden light, catching the sequins on my cocktail dress and making the champagne glasses sparkle like a galaxy of tiny stars. This was my sister Emily's wedding, a day she had dreamed of since she was a little girl, and it was perfect in every way. The ceremony was a blur of happy tears and shared smiles. The reception, a vibrant symphony of laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. My husband Mark was by my side, his arm warm and solid around my waist, as we watched Emily and her new husband, Liam, take to the dance floor for their first dance. Liam was a good man, or so we thought. He was handsome, with a gentle smile and kind eyes that seemed to hold a world of affection for my sister. He was a successful architect, a quiet and unassuming man who fit into our loud, boisterous family with surprising ease. My parents adored him, my brother joked with him, and I, for all my protective instincts over my younger sister, had given him my blessing. The first dance song, a sappy pop ballad, was in full swing when I felt Mark's grip on my arm tighten. I turned to him, a smile on my face, but it faltered when I saw his expression. His jaw was set. His eyes, usually so warm and full of light, were narrowed and dark. A cold dread, sharp and sudden, pierced through the festive buzz. "What is it?" I asked, my voice low. "Are you all right?" He didn't answer. He just pulled me away from the crowd, past a laughing group of my cousins and towards a quiet corner of the grand ballroom. His movement was so urgent it felt like a command. "Mark, seriously, what is going on?" I whispered, my heart beginning to race. He stopped me against the velvet curtain, his hands cupping my face, his gaze searching mine as if looking for something he was afraid to find. "Sarah, you need to listen to me. We have to go, right now." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Go, leave, in the middle of my sister's wedding. Are you insane?" I hissed, pulling away from him. "We can't leave. This is Emily's wedding. My maid of honor speech is in 10 minutes. My parents will kill us." "I don't care," he said, the words strained and low. "We have to leave, now, before the ceremony is over." "The ceremony is over, Mark. This is the reception." I corrected him, the absurdity of the situation starting to outweigh the fear. "And why? Give me one good reason." He glanced over his shoulder, a hunted look in his eyes. "I can't, not here. Just trust me, Sarah, please. Trust me, like you never have before." I stood there, frozen. This wasn't the Mark I knew. This was a stranger, a man consumed by a terrifying urgency I couldn't comprehend. The music swelled, a chorus of voices singing about eternal love, but all I could hear was the frantic thumping of my own heart. I looked over at Emily and Liam, twirling happily, oblivious. How could I abandon my sister on the happiest day of her life? "No," I said, my voice shaking. "No, I'm not going anywhere. Not until you tell me what's happening." His face hardened. "Fine, then I'm going alone. But you're putting yourself in danger, and you're putting me in an impossible position." He turned to walk away, and for a terrifying moment, I thought he was serious. That he would just leave me. Panic seized me. I grabbed his arm, pulling him back. "Mark, wait. What danger? Talk to me." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. His composure finally breaking, he looked around wildly, his eyes darting to the entrance and back to the happy crowd. "There's no time," he muttered. "I'll tell you in the car. Just get your coat, act normal, please, Sarah." My rational mind was screaming. This was crazy. This was irrational, but something in his eyes, a flicker of genuine, raw terror, made me capitulate. I nodded, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and fear. I walked over to the table, grabbed my small clutch, and then made my way to the coat check, my movements feeling stiff and unnatural. Mark was waiting for me by the exit, and he pulled me outside into the cool night air. The sudden drop in temperature was a shock. The wedding hall, with its warmth and light, felt like a distant, unreachable planet. The crisp night air did little to clear my head. We got into his car, a low-slung sedan, and he didn't start it right away. He just sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel, his knuckles white. "Okay," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "We're in the car. What is it? Is someone sick? Is it a fire?" I was grasping at straws, trying to make sense of his behavior. He took a deep, shaky breath, and when he finally spoke, his voice was different. It was the voice of a man carrying an impossible burden. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner, but there was no proof. No way to tell you without you thinking I was completely insane." He looked at me, his eyes now full of a desperate sadness. It's about Liam. A cold fist squeezed my heart. What about Liam? He's a wonderful man. No, he's not, Mark said, his voice a low growl. He's a monster, a liar, a criminal. I stared at him, dumbfounded. What are you talking about? Are you jealous? This is sick, Mark. My sister just married him. This is not the time for whatever this is. He's not an architect, Sarah. That's a lie. His name isn't even Liam. His real name is Marcus Thorne. He's wanted in 4 different states for financial fraud, embezzlement, and a handful of other charges. He cons women rich, successful women, marries them, steals their money, and disappears. He's done it at least half a dozen times. Emily is his latest mark. My world tilted on its axis. That's insane. How could you possibly know that? He's been in our lives for a year. He's been nothing but kind and generous. That's how he operates, Mark explained, his voice urgent. He's a master of manipulation. He crafts a perfect persona, ingratiates himself into the family, and then he waits for the right moment. The moment is now. He's going to use this wedding, all this pomp and circumstance, to gain access to Emily's trust funds, her assets, all of it. He's already been talking to her about consolidating her finances, putting everything into joint accounts for their future. My blood ran cold. Emily had mentioned it just last week. I'd thought it was just a natural part of 2 people joining their lives. Mark had asked about it too, and she'd brushed it off as nothing. How do you know all this? I asked, my voice trembling. He looked at me, his face etched with a pain I didn't understand, because I've been watching him for months. Ever since I first met him, something felt off. Call it intuition. I ran a background check, but of course, it came up clean. Con artists like him use fake identities, but then I noticed something in the way he talked about his old company, a slight misstep in a detail he'd mentioned. I have a friend in cybersecurity, a guy who specializes in finding people who don't want to be found. I asked him to run a deeper search. It took weeks, but he finally found it. An old criminal record under a different name. A mugshot that was a perfect match for Liam. And a history of fraud going back more than a decade. Why didn't you tell me? The question was a raw, aching accusation. He flinched. Because I didn't want to ruin this for Emily. I wanted to be 100% sure. I didn't want to accuse him of being a criminal and then be wrong, shattering her dreams and making our family furious with me. I was waiting for the perfect moment, for the irrefutable evidence that couldn't be argued with. My friend was supposed to call me when the police were ready to move in. He just did. He called to tell me they're on their way to the wedding venue. He looked at me, his eyes full of a desperate, pleading honesty. He's going to be arrested, Sarah, in the middle of the wedding. Your sister, your parents, everyone, they're going to see it. I didn't want you to be there for that. I didn't want you to have to go through that. I wanted to get you out, to be with you, to be your rock. I know it's her day, but I wanted to protect you from the aftermath. Tears welled in my eyes, not for Emily and Liam, not yet, but for Mark, for the incredible burden he had been carrying for months, a secret so immense that it had twisted his movements, aged his face, and made him a man I didn't recognize. He had been so worried about me, about my well-being, that he hadn't even thought to protect himself. The thought of him, alone in this, trying to be a good husband and brother-in-law while secretly investigating a criminal, was overwhelming. My anger evaporated, replaced by a profound sense of awe and love. Mark, I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. You did all of this for us. He nodded, his eyes glistening. Emily's my sister, too, Sarah. I love her. I didn't want this to happen, but I had to do something, and I couldn't just stand there and let it all unfold with you in the room. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry I ruined the wedding. The words ruined the wedding sounded so small, so insignificant now. The perfect day had been a lie, a beautifully crafted facade designed to hide a terrible truth. And Mark had been the one to see past it, to fight for us, to protect our family from an impending disaster. I leaned forward and kissed him, a long, desperate, grateful kiss. He pulled me into his arms, and I buried my face in his chest, the solid, familiar scent of him finally grounding me. What do we do now? I asked, my voice muffled. We wait, he said, his voice now calm and steady. We wait for the news to break. We stay together, and when it's all over, we go home. Together. We sat in the car, side by side, for what felt like an eternity. We saw a few police cars, their lights flashing silently, pull up to the venue. My heart pounded, a frantic drum against my ribs. I pulled out my phone, and my sister's name flashed on the screen. I almost answered, but Mark gently took the phone from me. "Not yet," he said, his voice soft. "Let's just give them a moment." We sat in silence, watching as the perfect wedding we had just left crumbled under the weight of a terrible secret. We saw the chaos unfold, the guests pouring out of the venue, some looking shocked, some crying, some just bewildered. My sister's wedding was a beautiful disaster, and I couldn't be more thankful that Mark had saved me from having to witness it. In that moment, I realized that I hadn't just married a man who loved me. I had married a man who would do anything to protect me and my family. A man who saw the truth, even when it was hidden behind the most beautiful of lies. The perfect wedding day might be gone, but in its place, a new, more profound truth had emerged. The strength of our bond, forged not in perfect moments, but in a shared, terrifying secret. And in that, I found a love more beautiful than any wedding.